The new arena mode introduced a new enemy type called an elite enemy. There are 6 of them total, each being an advanced version of another enemy that already exists in the game. I'm going to be ranking each one from least to most dangerous based on my personal experience. I'm also going to explain how the enemy works and why it is where it is on the list. If you don't have the game or just don't know that much about the elite enemies, this can also serve as an overview of how they work. To start, we have the Orc Hunter. This is an evolution of the Orc Archer. He has 6 HP, 3 attack, 2 speed, and 5 range. The stats here are going to show 1 speed higher than the enemy's actual stats because the faster than light diversifier is active here. If any of the stats on screen differ from what I'm saying, trust my words more than the screen because of those diversifiers. Anyways, this enemy has 7 effective range, making it the highest effective range of all enemies. The attacks it has are not too strong at least. The first is just a basic arrow dealing 2 to 4 physical damage. Sleeping Arrow deals the unit's attack damage as physical damage and has a 3-turn cooldown. If it deals HP damage, the target is put to sleep for 2 turns. This includes dealing enough armor damage to pierce through a unit's armor to get through to their health. Melee units with high armor are the best to have against this enemy, but if it manages to put a unit to sleep, it can quickly snowball into a disaster. It's not implausible to one-shot the Hunter with a powerful attack, and like most ranged enemies, that's highly recommended. If Flareons weren't bad enough, the next enemy is the Blasteon. This enemy has 6 HP, 3 attack, 0 armor, 2 speed, and 4 range. Like all demon enemies, they are immune to the Burning Affliction. They also inflict burning for 2 turns on units who hit them in melee range. The 6 effective range of Flareons was arguably their most dangerous trait. The only contender was their magic damage. Blasteons have the same effective range and a stronger attack. Fire Blast is guaranteed to deal 3 magic damage and has a 1 hex AoE, meaning it can devastate grouped units. It also inflicts burning for 2 turns, making its effective damage per unit equal to 5. They can also sacrifice themselves at 1 HP to deal 5 physical damage in an AoE. What makes this enemy not so bad is the fact that they only have 6 HP. While that's not the easiest amount of damage to deal, it's also not too difficult with high level units. You can snipe one out of combat early on to prevent them from being a nuisance. It's also not that hard to keep your units spaced apart so that the AoE is not an issue. Its single target damage isn't so low that it can just be ignored, but it's not going to murder everyone right away if you play your cards right. The next enemy is the Exalted Lord, who comes from the Unblinded Exalted. This enemy has 8 HP, 5 attack, 2 armor, 2 speed, and 4 range. Its primary attack allows it to shoot a bolt, dealing 4 to 6 magic damage to a target.
Now that's a lot of damage!
It's enough damage to instantly kill a significant number of party members, even leveled up ones. They also share the ability to summon 3 tentacles around a unit. Finally, they have a free action skill. A free action can uniquely only be used before a unit has done anything else, but when they use it, they are free to do anything else after that. This free action allows them to summon an unblinded acolyte, who then gets a turn to move. Summoned units do not share the effects from diversifiers. Uniquely, these enemies have the intelligence to summon acolytes at the start of a round, even when no other units are in range. If left unchecked, they can build up a small army's worth of units. These units will almost never be grouped together, as the acolytes will start to pursue your units right away. However, that poses its own problems, as they can get mixed up with other enemies that you're trying to get rid of. Exalted Lords are pests from a global range and deadly from a pretty big effective range. Ashrafin Enchantresses have evolved to create the High Enchantress. This enemy has 10 HP, 5 attack, 0 armor, the 3 comes from a diversifier, 2 speed, and 3 range. Like many Wild Moon enemies, this unit is both immune to Bramble's effects on the ground and the Asleep status. Its basic attack deals a whopping 5 magic damage. Spore Shower is a counter to melee units, dealing 5 armor damage, applying poison for 2 turns, and Asleep for 1 turn. Basically, if you don't land a killing blow while in melee range, you're not going to get the chance to fight back afterwards. Leeching Chain is a punish for grouping your units together, chaining to up to 3 adjacent units and dealing 5 physical damage each. If this deals HP damage, it inflicts true damage over time that heals the high Enchantress. This effect is permanent. By far, one of the most dangerous enemy abilities in the game, enough to already make it one of the worst elite enemies. The other skills are just icing on the cake, making it impossible to reliably approach them with armored units because the base attack deals magic damage, and making it harder to hit them with melee attacks because you need to deal the finishing blow within that round. Following that, we have the Torghast, a warg with the toughness of an ogre. Boasting a whopping 14 HP, 6 attack, and 3 speed, this is the tankiest enemy to also have a dodge chance, which is 20%. Their massive attack stat allows them to deal 5 to 7 physical damage with a basic attack, which is technically their weakest option. They can also deal 5 physical damage plus bleed, which essentially means 7 damage guaranteed, 2 of which is true damage. Torghast Pounce allows the enemy to deal 3 damage in a 1 hex area and stun every unit it hits. These attacks are all brutal, and they belong to an enemy with a ton of HP that can rush towards your units. Normally, you would want to burst down an enemy like this before it can deal any damage, but because of how tough it is, and the RNG aspect of damaging it in melee combat, this is really hard to do. These enemies are relentless and fearsome, so what could be even worse? That would be the Troll Zerker. Troll champions were among the toughest enemies out there, arguably the most fatal to approach at close range. Now there's an elite version of that enemy with 12 HP, 5 attack, 3 armor, 3 speed, and 3 range. They regenerate 1 HP and 1 armor at the start of every turn. However, if they become enraged, they can increase that regen and damage by 1. This enemy can become enraged under 2 conditions. The first is when they take HP damage. The second is when a unit on their side dies while adjacent to them. Luckily, these effects don't stack. However, taking HP damage is necessary to kill this enemy, so it basically will always have increased damage and health regeneration. It also means that its melee attack will probably not deal 4 to 6 physical damage, but rather 5 to 7, which is a lot. It also has a ranged attack that it can use to hit your units without having to get close to them, making it harder to rely on traps to kill it. But its most dangerous ability by far is Slice and Dice. When enraged, the damage increases to 6 and 4, which is 10 total damage. Being a double attack also makes it impossible to completely resist it with Shield of Retribution, but it at least makes the enemy take double hits from spiked armor and an orc with parry stance. Still, this enemy has the speed to chase you down, the range to play keep away, the health and regen to make it extremely hard to kill, and the damage to make it extremely hard to stay alive against this thing. It even has the smarter troll AI that makes it run away when low on health. In my opinion, the Troll Zerker is the most dangerous enemy in Legends of Kingdom Rush. And that's the overview of every elite enemy in this update. I hope you enjoyed it, and have a good day.